No one's escaped me yet. Fear. And I don't mean it metaphorically, or rhetorically, or poetically, or theoretically, or in any other fancy way. I'm deaf. Straight up. Shh, don't tell. This is gonna be fun. I just love the smell of fear. I've enjoyed the chase, but I think we've reached the end now, you and I.
Death in Wikipedia. Death personification. Green Reaper redirects here for other use as the Green Reaper. Death is frequently imaged as the personified force in some mythologies, a character known as the Green Reaper, usually depicted as a bare-robed skeleton wielding a scythe, cause the victim's death by coming to collect that person's soul. Others believe hold that the specter of death is only a I can't say these words, I'm sorry. A benevolent figure, a benevolent figure who serves to generally serve the last ties between the souls of the body and guides the deceased to the afterlife without having any control over when or how the victim dies. Death is most often personified in male form, although in certain cultures death is perceived as female. For instance, Marzana in Salvia mythology, or Santa in Muerte in Mexico. Death is also portrayed as one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. By region, American, Latin American, as the case in many Romance language, including French, Portuguese, I know I can say these words, I just can't right now. Italian and Romanian. The Spanish word for death, muerte, is a feminine noun. As such, is a common in Spanish-speaking cultures to personify death as a female figure. In Aztec mythology, Mitachi, I can't say this, is the queen of Mittal, the Aztec underworld, ruling over the afterlife with her husband. I'm not going to say that word. Other epics of her include Lady of Death, as her role includes keeping watch over the bones of the dead. I can't say this word, was represented with the flawlessness body and with jaws agape as swallows the stars during the day. She presides over the ancient festivals of dead, which evolved from Aztec traditions into the modern Day of Dead after sympathizing with Spanish culture traditions. There was also the goddess of suicide, Laxta. She was the minor goddess in the scale of Aztec mythology. She was also known as the hangwoman, as she came to help along those who had killed themselves. Our Lady of the Holy Death, Santa Muerte, is a female deity or folk saint of Mexican folk religion, whose popularity has been growing in Mexico and the United States in recent years. Since the pre-Columbian era, Mexico culture has maintained a certain reverence towards death, as seen in widespread commemoration to the Day of the Dead, La Calavera Catrina, A character symbolizing death is also an icon of the Mexican Day of the Dead. San La Muerte, Saint Death, is a skeletal folk saint venerated in Paraguay, northeast Argentina, and southern Brazil. As the results of traditional immigration in Argentina since the 1960s, the venerations of San La Muerte has been extended to Greater Buenos Aires and the national prison system, as well as Saint Death is depicted as a male skeleton. A male skeleton figure, usually holding a scythe, although the Catholic Church in Mexico has attacked the devotion of Saint Death as the tradition that mixes paganism with Christianity and is contrary to the Christian belief of Christ defeating death. Many devotees considering veneration of San La Muerte as being part of their Catholic faith. The ritual connection and powers ascribed to San La Muerte are very similar to those of Santa Muerte. The resemblance between their names, however, is traditional in Aztec mythology. I'm not going to say that word because I can't. Is the god of death, dead, depicted as the skeleton or a person wearing toothy skull. In Guatemala, San Pascualito is the skeleton folk saint venerated as the king of the graveyard. He is depicted as skeleton figure with a scythe, sometimes wearing a cape and crown. He is associated with death and the curing of disease. In the Brazilian religion, Umbanda, the Arixa Omolu personifies sickness and death as well as healing. The image of death is also associated with Ixu in Hiltane. I am not good with names, I'm sorry. Voodoo, the greedy are the family in spirits that embody death and fertility. The most well known of these spirits is Baron Samedi. Asia. Man, is this a long one? Bro, this is a long one. There's a lot of cultures, bro. Asia, East Asia. Life replacement narratives. Yama. I think we already... Yama was introduced in Chinese mythology through Buddhism. In Chinese, he is known as King Yan or Yan Lu, ruling the 10 gods of the underworld Diyu. He is normally depicted wearing a Chinese judge cape and traditionally Chinese robes, and appears on most forms of hell. Money offered in ancestors' worship. From China, Yama spread to Japan as the Great King Enma, ruler of the Jingoku. Korea as the Greek King Yeomar, ruler of the Yoik. I can't say these things. I'm sorry if I butcher it. And Vietnam as Dai Lao Voing, ruler of Dia Nog. I can't say this shit, I swear. Separately, in Korean mythology, death principal figure is a netherworld emissary, Hosungwa Saja, shortened to Saja. He is depicted as a stern and ruthless bureaucrat in Yeoma's service. Side chomp, he escort all good or evil from the land of the living to the Netherlands when the time comes. Do I need to read? Because obviously I'm butchering everything, so I'm just gonna... One of the representatives' names is Gangblim, the Saja who guides the soul to the entrance of the underworld. According to legends, he will always carries Geo. Bro, the list with the names of the dead written on the dead on red cloth. When he calls the name 3 times, the soul leaves the body and follows him inevitably. The Kojiki related that the Japanese goddess Izanami was burnt to death, giving birth to the fire god Hinokakuchi. I'm gonna skip these names, you're gonna read it. She then entered the realm of perpetual night called Yon. Her husband persuaded her there, but discovered his wife was no longer as beautiful as before. After the argument, she promised she would take 1,000 lives every day, because becoming a goddess of death, as well as giving birth to the gods. And while dead, there are also death gods called, which are closer to the Western tradition to the Green Reaper. While common in modern Japanese arts and fiction, they were essentially absent in traditional and mythology. What the fuck did I just drop? Oh no! Give me a second, y'all. Read! I'll be right back.
You know we will meet again, right?
Sí, hasta la muerte.
¿Por qué diablos fui a jugar con mi comida?